everybody, welcome to my little chat with you about the solar eclipse that's happening on Saturday the 30th at 4:28 p.m. where Eastern Standard Time. That is when the new moon is exacting, and the eclipse itself has a duration of 4 hours, which begins a couple of hours before. So I have a few things I want to say, and I've got my notes here because I don't want to forget. This new moon solar eclipse in Taurus is part of what is called an eclipse series. And this eclipse series is in the signs of Taurus and Scorpio, and began actually in November of 2021. We had the lunar eclipse. So we had the lunar eclipse on a full moon in Taurus, I believe it was in November 19th. And the eclipse series ends in October of 2023. So we're going to be visited by a bunch of eclipses from now till then in the signs of Taurus and Scorpio. Whenever we have a duo of signs in which the eclipses occur, we call this an eclipse story because there's a specific story that's unfolding for us. And in the signs of Taurus and Scorpio, we're really looking at the material versus the kind of spiritual, right? So the kind of earthly experience that we have, the physical experience that we have, and the spiritual and sort of metaphysical experiences that we have. And whenever Scorpio is involved, we're looking at a death, rebirth kind of experience. So we're really going to be feeling a death, rebirth in some area of our life that's going to then lend way to more stable, secure, and abundant foundations, which is what Taurus is all about. So in your natal chart, check where Scorpio is and where Taurus is, so the cusp of those signs in your chart, to see what areas of life are going to be kind of undergoing transformations and shifts for you in the next little while. And specifically for Saturday's lunation, check 10 degrees of Taurus. So you give or take 2 degrees for me. Like, I don't really go beyond a 2-degree orb. So maybe check 8 to 12 degrees of Taurus, and also check the same degrees in Scorpio and see kind of what else is going on. Like for me, I've got Chiron in Taurus, and I also have my Uranus in Scorpio as well. Any other placements in your chart that is fixed, like a fixed sign. So Taurus is a fixed sign. So you also want to look for Scorpio, which is a fixed sign. You want to also look for Aquarius and for Leo. These are signs that are going to be particularly impacted by this eclipse series. So you might want to just get a heads up if you have your sun, moon, and rising in those particular areas in your chart. So I also want to add, please don't fear eclipses. You know, it's like this thing with retrogrades and eclipses, and I feel like there's a lot of hype around them, and I understand why, because eclipses can bring sudden shifts. You know, they could be like external things that happen to kind of bring about internal changes for us. So there's always like an element of surprise with them. You know, so they can be intense, they can be surprises, and also there are these beautiful portals, like opportunities for acceleration, like an accelerated growth, accelerated healing, and like acceleration and opportunity. Nothing really will be the same after we undergo an eclipse series. Like in a particular way the stories unfold for us, things won't be the same. Now, this could just be energetically, it could be just like a mindset change, it could be literally like we have some drastic life event happen. So ultimately, get ready for change. That is it. And you know, if you fear change, then I would say that's something to address, because we're really living in times that are demanding big changes for us, despite what the eclipses bring. I also wanted to add that eclipses, like their impact kind of can resonate for months after the eclipse itself hits. So it may not also be so evident right on the day of. So pay attention to these themes. If you know your chart well, maybe book a session with an astrologer and just kind of delve into your chart to see where you may want to just kind of like keep an eye, right? Like not in a controlling kind of way, because again, eclipses are not about control. It's just something that's going to happen, right? So there's this element of letting go and letting things happen. However, it's good to kind of keep your eye out on what area of your life to sort of like be open to the change. I do want to mention there's a couple of other things happening on the day of the eclipse, or near the day of the eclipse. So on the 29th, we've got Pluto stationing retrograde, and I want to talk about this a little bit because I think it may bring kind of a more intense backdrop to what may already feel intense with the eclipse. So Pluto's retrograde is more subtle than, let's say, when you have a Mercury retrograde or a Mars retrograde or a Venus retrograde. It's an outer planet, and so it has a more subtle influence. However, it does give us this kind of shadowy backdrop where, it like kind of unearths some of our deepest secrets and deepest and sort of difficult emotional challenges and like issues around power and control in our life. And so some of those kind of tougher life themes, it's going to bring up and have us reflect on it and reassess things. And we may not even be consciously aware of its influence in the way that we are with like a Mercury retrograde. So it won't be like a nuisance or frustrating. It'll just be kind of a deeper uprooting of sorts. So we may want to ask ourselves, in what ways are we undermining ourselves or self-sabotaging? What is our relationship to power and control? And how can we connect with our inner power to kind of shift some of the things in our lives that need to be shifted, what needs to go. Pluto was also about the death rebirth cycle, so there's that theme as well that's going to be coming up in the next few months. And so this eclipse, I feel like, is kind of loaded with that around sort of a death rebirth somewhere, metaphorically speaking, in some area of our life. So we also have a beautiful planetary aspect between Venus and Jupiter on the same day as a solar eclipse, so it's a conjunction between the two. And this really brings a sort of expansive love, divine love, all the beautiful kind of all-encompassing feelings of love and loving towards oneself and those around us, which I think will take the edge off the new moon solar eclipse on that day. So that's kind of a beautiful thing, and perhaps we want to really lean into that energy as we sort of go through that kind of intense portal that awaits us. So I guess I'll just wrap this up by saying that we get what we get out of eclipses in terms of how open we are to our own shadows and how open we are to our own healing, how open we are to change. These are not easy things. It's easier to talk about them than actually go through them. And I think that this transformative Eclipse series is here to really nudge us into accepting some of the big changes that this kind of moment in our history is bringing us, and really nudge us to kind of accept that we don't always have control over what happens, and that what we do have control over is our own healing. It's about how much we can love ourselves and hold compassion for ourselves. Sending everybody lots of care as we go through these transformative times together. Stay tuned for more videos coming up soon. I will be also doing some tutorials on traditional astrology, like an Astro 101 type thing. So if you like the videos, subscribe and like, and stay tuned for more. Have a beautiful day, and bye for now.